Hello, I'm Adam Mayer. I'm from Click. I'm going to be talking to you about some of the things that can help you do that, as well as how we're helping our some 50,000 customers across the globe. So if anything quantifies the value of data more, then it's this stark contrast that you can see here between the world's most valuable companies today versus those same companies 10 years ago. Because today, information is the business for these top companies. And regardless of what you think of them, the way that they're actually getting value out of all the data that they've got available is what's driving their enterprise value today. And around enterprise value, Click has recently commissioned a survey which we called the Data Literacy Index. And one of the key findings out of that was we found that organizations who had invested in a high level of data literacy were actually seeing a higher enterprise level value than those that hadn't. Sometimes up to about 5%. So money-wise, that can equate to about $500 million. So it's quite a lot of value in there. So it's no wonder then that the investment in data and analytics is increasing. So we see here that data, analytics, and AI are still the top priorities for CIOs today. We see many organizations are investing in hiring a CDO to lead their data efforts. That's at an all-time high, and the budgets that the CDOs are commanding now are increasing faster than any other parts of the business. But what's really interesting for me is that Gartner are predicting from those organizations who are investing in a CDO, only 50% will succeed. So why is that? Ultimately, the opportunity and expectations don't match up with the real challenges, the reality of the challenges that are faced within organizations today. So either the use of data and analytics is not fully optimized, or the technology and the level of data literacy just simply isn't in place to get value out of all the data that the organizations have. And this is one of the key drivers that's moving us into the third generation of BI. So just to recap, the first generation of BI was very much centralized reporting. And then this, as we moved into the more self-service level of BI, we hit the second generation. The third generation today is all about getting more value out of your data and your analytics strategies. So over these three items that you can see here, it's about democratizing your data, make it universally accessible to everyone within the organization. Raising levels of data literacy through the use of technologies like AI and machine learning. And then putting analytics and insights directly into place where more users can benefit from them. So embedding it into the workflows and the systems that you use every day. However, increasingly what we're starting to see now is that the organization's ability to really own their own data strategy is starting to be undermined by the risk of vendor lock-in, particularly cloud vendor lock-in. So they start to see increasing costs in order to gain access to the data, and as a result, their analytics strategy is starting to be dictated as well. And our customers are constantly telling us this isn't really what they want. They want to have a data and analytical strategy that's really driven by their business needs and not necessarily their choice of a cloud platform that they want to work in. So this is a major concern in terms of cost and compliance, and really customers are looking for more flexibility. After all, it's your choice where you build your infrastructure, so your data strategy should also be your choice as well. So you have to ask yourself, is this really your data and analytics strategy, or is it someone else's? And the fact is, we've kind of seen this movie play out before. We kind of know how it ends. Because back in 2007, within the BI market, we saw a lot of on-premise acquisitions happening, where the on-premise vendors were looking to lock as much of your data into their own stacks as possible. But innovation stalled and costs increased, and this is where Click was able to innovate in their place. And this is very much where we started to lead the second generation with our approach to data discovery and creating value quickly from that data. Today, if you fast forward today, it now seems to be the large cloud platforms that are doing exactly the same through acquisition and organically. But if you think about it, it's those companies that continue to innovate and to really push the envelope that keep the market moving forward. So Qlik now is the largest independent vendor, and we continue to innovate, and we are continuing to drive a new wave of analytics that is really moving the third generation of BI forward. So our approach is all about preserving the data and analytics democracy. So we want to ensure you, the customer, that you can retain full choice on your data strategy and your analytics strategy. So we can connect them together where it makes sense, but we can also support openness as well when it doesn't. So we don't want to be the ones telling you where your data needs to be. Instead, we want to help you wherever it actually resides and where you need your data to reside as well. We don't want to tell you what cloud you should be running in, or really make you pay for that choice and flexibility. And we're certainly not going to pretend that AI is the answer to all your challenges whilst ignoring your other greatest asset, which is your people. Instead, we want to help you raise up the level of data literacy at a skill level through both technology and learning. So today, I want to show you 3 ways that we have a vision on how we're achieving this. And this is all using real product that's all available today. So the first one is looking at this emerging area of data ops, which is, in short, an automated process oriented methodology that's aimed at improving the quality and reducing that cycle time of data management for analytics. So it's about moving that raw data into analytical ready data and really advancing that speed and accuracy of the analytics that you have. And then improving the productivity by leveraging real-time data integration technologies such as change data capture and streaming data pipelines. However, the market needs aren't matching up to reality. So while the goals might include things like real-time insights, agile data delivery, or analytics-ready data, the reality is that it's more complex and it's restricted through things like ETL bottlenecks, inflexible and brittle tools, and siloed, ungoverned data. So how does Qlik bridge the gap here and turn those needs into reality? Well, as a result of our acquisition of Attunity earlier this year, Qlik can now offer a complete data integration platform, one that enables the sort of data ops for analytics, and it supports a full range of use cases, including things like cloud data, warehouse automation, data streaming, and real-time data architectures. And importantly to note here is that our data integration platform works completely independently from our analytical solutions. So what I'd like to show you today is kind of 2 parts to the data integration platform. So the first one is going to be looking at the change data capture technology, and we're going to look at replicating in real time data from an SAP environment into a Snowflake environment. And then we'll look at how easy it is to automate the creation of data warehouse models and the data marts as well. So what you're seeing here is Attunity Replicate, and it's very wizard-based and sort of driven through mouse clicks. So it's just as easy as setting up a task, and you can see here that we've chosen full load and apply changes. So we're going to do a full copy, and then the apply changes is a change data capture piece. Once we've done that, then it's just a case of setting up your endpoints in terms of your source data and where you want it to go. And that's just a simple drag and drop process once you've created those. So we've got our SAP environment running in Microsoft Azure, and we want to replicate that into our Snowflake environment that in this case we've set up in AWS. The next stage is to then select the tables. So you can interrogate the SAP environment, work through the databases that you want to select, So here it's again very easy to do that. We're selecting the sales and distribution tables, and in the case of this demo, we've selected all of those tables that you can see here. Now at this point, you could do further transformation capabilities, but in the case of the demo, just to keep it short, we're just going to save that task and then run it. So then that's the real-time piece. What's happening in the background then is the Tunity replicating is doing a lot of heavy lifting and saves a lot of time from a data ops team's perspective in terms of writing scripts and building models. So all of that's being profiled while that progress bar is moving, and then the act of copying the data across actually starts happening. And this is what we're seeing now. So you can start seeing the flow of data coming in. So this is the kind of the real-time piece. We've got the full load happening. So this will be a straightforward copy. And once all the data's in there, another piece of the change data capture is we'll capture any changes on the fly and bring that in automatically. So you can see that data coming in. You've got a place there for error logs if anything happens. But that's essentially the first step. Then the next step I want to show you is Tunity Compose. And just to recap here, it helps us create that real-time data stream. So this is that change data capture piece from the source to the destination that we want it to be. Next thing we can do is have a look at the data model that was created for the data warehouse. This was all created automatically for us, looking at the existing structure that was sitting on the SAP environment, and you can get a whole load of details in there, looking at the keys and the models. You could also bring your own model in as well, if that's required from the data ops team's perspective. And then another piece that we did in terms of that heavy lifting in creating the data warehouse is that involves a lot of ETL scripting. And the Tunity Replicator has taken that workload from us. We can see the 16,000 instructions there, all created automatically. So there's no line of code being written here. It's taken a lot of heavy work for you and really fully automating the process as well. So just like we created the data warehouse model, the next thing we're doing is creating the data mart. And that's also a kind of wizard-driven process. And just through a series of mouse clicks, we can set up different types of schemas around whatever data mart that we want. So in this case, we're just going to create a billing data mart. You can see the different types of schemas that we can select there. We can bring in fact tables and then choose relevant dimensions in terms of time and date in this case. And it's building the model on the fly as we go. And that's pretty much it. In the interest of time, I'll just skip in, but it really shows how we can simplify that process and save a lot of time for the data ops team. So let's have a look at the second piece then, and this is around enabling our business users with actionable on-demand data. So the goal here is about simplifying and accelerating the ability within an organization to manage, prepare, and deliver analytics in a data-ready state, and make it accessible to every business user across your diverse data landscape. But as before, there's a gap between needs and reality, right? So the ever-increasing number of potential users that you've got that want to access that data drives new levels of complexity. Now, often that means that IT want to put in fine-grained controls. This can make it quite unwieldy. It can be slow to respond, and it makes it harder then to automate the process. So ultimately, you end up with users struggling to understand how much data you've got, where it is, what it is, and how others are using it. So let's have a look at how Qlik's actually trying to overcome these challenges. So this is another part of our data integration platform, and it's a product called Qlik Data Catalyst. Basically, it provides a complete out-of-the-box data solution, taking business-ready data and making it available to end users. So as well as doing data sourcing, management and preparation capabilities, it also provides a smart catalog. So it's kind of giving an Amazon shopping style experience to your users to find what data is available. So let's have a look at that in terms of the data that we've just onboarded from Snowflake. We've loaded that into Data Catalyst. So this is Data Catalyst. We're going to have a look at this from 3 different roles that could use Data Catalyst in a governed manner. So the first one is the data engineer. And one of the roles of the data engineer is to ensure the quality of the data. So not only loading that data in and modeling it, but within Data Catalyst, there's capability in there for them to check the quality of the data and also correct it. So here what we're doing is we're looking at the data that we just loaded in from Snowflake into Data Catalyst, and we got some logs here. So in this case, the first time we loaded into Data Catalyst, it counts the good, the bad, and the ugly data records. So in this case, we can expand out. We can see out of those 20 ugly records, it's actually caused by an unexpected non-ASCII character. Now there's capability and kind of tools in place for the data engineer to correct that. In this case, because we know the data's okay, it's literally a tick box exercise, and then we can rerun the data. And as you can see there on the top line, the record count went to all good. So that's just a very small example of how we can make the life of the data engineer easier by checking out the data quality. The second role we're going to have a look at is one of the data steward. Now, one of the or two things that the data steward need to be sure of is the integrity of the data as well, but also make sure it's compliant and secure as well. So some functionality we've got in here is to check the lineage of the data. That can be quite important. So here, the data steward can see that we've moved it or copied it from SAP, the SAP environment, put it into the Snowflake environment and how we did it, and then ultimately loaded it up into Data Catalyst. So that's a full auditable trail that they can use as part of their compliance strategy. Another piece of that compliance is sensitivity of data, particularly in this post-GDPR era that we're full in. So there's some capability in there for the data steward to check that sensitivity of data or sensitive data is being handled appropriately, and we can look at some data that's been masked here, for example. So we've got some sensitive data. The account owner ID has been replaced with some random characters. The fax number's been replaced with null characters, and the contact details that you can see there have also been randomized. So they have full capability to check that the right data has been sensitized, if you like, or treated appropriately. And there's also some self-service functionality in there through a governed process where the data steward can actually apply their own sensitive data. So an example of the data that we've just loaded in, another thing they can do is look at the fields, and actually from the fields that they know are sensitive, we've got a whole host of self-service options there. One of them is make this field sensitive, and then you've got a range of masking options that you can use if you're a data steward. So that's a small example of the capabilities we've got in there to make the life of the data steward easier. And then the last one is the data consumer. So this is how they can get this kind of shopping style experience. They can search for data. So out of all of that data sets that are available, we're just looking in for customers, and we've got 3 data sets come back that could be interesting for us. We'll just take a moment and just zoom in on this one here. So it's called a claims database. I'll come on to that in a minute, but it's a QVD file. And for those of you that are familiar with Qlik, this is our sort of proprietary format that we use to cache data up. And if you've got a lot of apps, you can now take advantage of Qlik Data Catalyst to manage all of the QVD files that you've got and make that accessible, and even push it out to other BI tools should you find the need to do that. Another thing to sort of highlight there is this is called the claims database. We search for a customer, but one of the things Data Catalyst does is automatically tag data based on metadata, and you can bring in manual tags as well. So we've got the tag of customer in there. That's why it came up in our search for customer. And from a shopping style experience, you can see we've got here sort of KPIs around operational quality and popularity. You can see, get a feel of how good the data is, and then you can start adding it into your cart, and this is the kind of shopping style experience. So what we've done there is we've added that data in. That looks good, green is good, right? So we want to use that data. It's good enough for others, it's good enough for us. And then we can publish it into any other tool that we want. So in this case, we've got Tableau set up. We're a Tableau user in this environment. That could be set up for any other BI tool. Thankfully, we've got Qlik in there as well, right? So you can publish directly to a new QlikSense app, or you can take advantage of the existing QlikSense estate, and we can actually put that data into an existing QlikSense app and we've got choice on which view we want to land in. So this is just the sort of publish workflow, just to show you. We've taken that data from Data Catalyst and published it into ClickSense. That's the data manager view. If you're familiar with ClickSense, you can see all the existing data represented as bubbles there, and we've just brought in our new data set that we can associate with the other data as well. So a very quick run through of Qlik Data Catalyst, how that's making life easier for not only those different roles, but also it's totally independent of the analytical tools that you choose. So we already have customers today that are using Data Catalyst with other BI tools. So now let's quickly look at the third and final component, and this is one around enriching and augmenting the whole analytical workflow for better, faster insights. So once again here, the needs often don't match up in the much type world of AI. It's very easy to think that all AI solutions are the same. A lot of them take a black box approach where we think that it's going to replace the user. But actually the world is a lot more complex. Because you have to think about how can you make sure that everyone in your organization is truly data driven when the data literacy levels are low. So how can you drive insight on all of your data when most SQL query-based tools leave a lot of data behind? And then how can you meet all the needs of all your users that want to consume the data and all of it in different ways without the headache of managing a myriad of tools and the complexity and cost that that brings? So ultimately, how can you get real value from AI today? Let's have a look at how Qlik's doing this. So historically, this is where Qlik's heritage is laid. But what we've just seen now is Qlik is much more than just analytics. And one of the things that really makes our analytics piece stand out from the crowd is our unique associative engine. And that's now coupled with our new cognitive engine, which is built around AI technologies. So what I want to show you then is how that works, if you haven't seen it already, how the associative engine combined with the cognitive engine can make use of all the data you've got available, because we can show you what's related and also what's unrelated, and that can help you find hidden insights that would otherwise be missed with query-based tools. So I want to show you through, first of all, Qlik Insight Bot, which is our sort of conversational analytical experience chatbot. Then we'll show the associative engine and the cognitive engine working together in ClickSense, and then I'll finish off by a quick demo of what we call an advanced analytics integration with one of our technology partners, DataRobot, who are just over there. So let's kick off with Qlik Insight Bot. What you're actually seeing here is Slack. If you're not familiar with Slack, it's a collaboration tool, and we've integrated Qlik Insight Bot with Slack. Most of our product team use Slack. They don't talk to each other. They just communicate through this tool. So you can ask Insight Bot questions and get answers back. So just down the bottom there, we've asked it what our total sales are, and Insight Bot's come back with a value, but then it's also going to give me more information so I can understand context on it. And it's also given me some other areas that might be of interest. But InsightBot understands our context and our analytical intent as well. So when we ask for it by category in a pie chart, it will show us that and show the pie chart there. Just down the bottom there, you can see we've got these little squares here. These are kind of like a two-way conversation where we can it's suggesting orders might be interesting to us by category. So you can click that and kind of carry on that conversation. So here it's remembered that we've asked it for a pie chart, so it's carry on showing that. And because we're inside the Slack environment, we can take advantage of the capabilities in Slack and favorite things and start sharing stuff around. Incidentally, the Qlik Insight Bot can also be integrated into things like MS Teams, Skype, also directly into ClickSense itself as well. We can also ask quite complex questions. So here we're asking it to predict what our total sales are for fuel over the next quarter. InsightBot will come back with that answer, and more often than not, that then triggers off a kind of response to collaborate. So in this example, once I've fumbled through typing out the question, once the answer comes back, I could then email that out to myself or to my colleagues to then have a conversation around it. or a further conversation. And that would typically drive us then into more of a dashboarding tool. So this is ClickSense. For those who haven't seen it, it's kind of a typical dashboard that you see here. What makes us unique in this respect is that you can interact with the visualizations. And as you make selections, everything that's associated to that will flex, as you see. And the context remains as we explore through the different sheets of this app until we no longer need it. We've got, I mentioned, a cognitive engine, so we have a kind of insights advisor here as well, where you can type in a question. So in this case, we're going to look for, I think it's sales by, margin on sales by city. And what the cognitive engine will do will surface insights based on the data that's loaded up in that app, and it's creating new visualizations on the fly. And it's also creating different types of insights that may be interesting to me. So all of these are new visualizations. We've also got access to existing visualizations within that app that are relevant and in the context of the search that I've asked for, or the question that I've asked. And we don't stop there. You can make changes to any of the insights that are suggested. So in this case, we're just going to flick around the axis. And also, it's a full visualization. It's not just a visualization. You can carry on your data discovery process and actually make selections within that new insight that's been given to us. So here we're just selecting the outliers of particular cities that look a little bit interesting, that we may want to delve in a little bit deeper. And we can carry on that whole discovery process. So here we can say, well, what about showing me a cost of goods trend? So what's happening here is the cognitive engine again is going out and drawing out, creating new visualizations for us. It's understood, we're asking for trends, so it's given us a timeline here, and it's fully interactive as well. So we can make selections of the kind of peaks here that we're seeing that could be quite interesting, and try and understand what's actually driving those high cost of sales there. So we've made that selection, and what we can do now is go back into the app and carry on the discovery process. So this is now using everything that's been built for us by somewhere else. So we can go in and carry on exploring the context of what we've just selected from those new insights are maintained. And here we're looking at an inventory sheet, and just for example here, in the cost of inventory by product group, I can see that it's the product group baby that's kind of driving that. So I could carry on the discovery process here and go back into Insights Advisor and ask the next question. Which in this case, I'm thinking, well, how many stores do I have with that product group baby? So the cognitive engine will come back with the answer. And one of the things that we'll show in a minute is it's important to have trust in the insights that come back and understand how the cognitive engine's working and bringing those insights in. So we've got a little information button at the top there, and when you click that, we can see how it's finding those insights. So when I'm asking for how many stores, it's using my field store code, and it's filtering the product group by the word baby. So that's a quick whirlwind tour of ClickSense and all the good features in there, and how it can help to really surface hidden insights and enrich the analytical experience. The last piece I want to quickly show is our integration with Data Robot. So this is a predictive churn. It's a ClickSense dashboard. And what we're doing is we're using Data Robot models to predict our potential churn of our customers across different channels here. And we built this app to show two different scenarios as well, so we can do a comparative analysis. And what's actually happening in the background in terms of the integration is Data Robot's doing all that kind of predictive churn modeling, the really sort of heavy work. And then as you make selections in the app, that data's passed through Data Robot, that does all that magic calculations and immediately pushes the results back. So as I move this slider bar here, you can start seeing things flex around. And that's a tight integration here, and it saves you going into two different environments. So we can play that out and do this kind of what-if comparison to our Platinum customers versus our Gold customers, and see what happens if we increase the price by 1% for our Gold customers and a little bit higher for our Platinum. straight away, we can actually see the actual customers that are predicted to churn, calculated by DataRobot, but revealed by the associative engine, and we can see the same for the gold customers as well, highlighted in different covers. So it's a really quick but powerful example there. So just to quickly wrap up then, really, you need, in today's analytics world, you need a partner of choice. You've seen how much we've are innovating, how we're leading the third generation of BI. So please have a chat to us. Take a picture of this, just really quickly. We're right over there. Take advantage of the fact that we're here. Click an opportunity there. We've got our own barista there. Grab a coffee on us, and let's have a chat about how we can make you even more successful than you already are. Thank you very much.